Welcome to the Love and Meaning podcast. I'm your host, Christelle Robinson Tiedemann. I am a life coach and a human design reader. And here on the Love and Meaning podcast, as well as the services that I provide, it's all about nurturing the evolved self through radical self-responsibility, compassion, and self-discovery. You can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube at the handle at Coaching with Greg. And all my services are listed there, as well as in the show notes right here on any platform that you are listening on. That could be Apple Podcasts, that could be Spotify, and you could be watching on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in. The Love and Meaning podcast is very much a place where I get to pour my heart out and share the various things that have been so meaningful to me on my own spiritual journey, my own personal development journey. And in sharing them, I truly do believe that if it's something that I've been contemplating, if it's come up for me, then there's somebody out there who is waiting to hear it. And if my contemplations can foster further contemplation for anyone else, then truly I have done the work that I've set out to do on the planet. So that is what this space is. And the contemplation that I've been having lately is really on how we get in our own way, the various levels of how we do that at different stages of our life, how we do it with more consciousness versus less consciousness, like even at a very evolved state, we get in our own way. Like we're really the thing that gets in our own way for the most part. And I've really been contemplating this lately because I'm being called back to simplicity a lot, creating more simplicity in my life. I don't know if this is connected to the fact that I am a human design projector. I'm a huge enthusiast of human design. And so I make references to human design often. Some episodes are entirely for human design. So all my human design lovers, this is a great base for you. I don't know if it's because I'm a human design projector, but I'm really being called to simplify where I've complicated things. And the thing that's been coming through for me a lot lately is doing too much or feeling like there's a lot required to be satisfied or content. It's a lot easier than we think. Abraham Hicks is one of my favorite teachers, and they've always said that everything that we want out of life is because we think that we'll be happy in the having of it. So at the end of the day, everything that we're searching for is happiness. And I chose Love and Meaning as the title of the podcast because really everything that I've been through in my life, my entire story leading up to my introduction to spirituality was basically a desperate search for love and meaning outside of myself, and then the discovery of love and meaning inside of myself. And the love in love and meaning is really self-love, and the meaning is something that we create. Like it is my responsibility to create the meaning in my life. And when I've taken back that power for myself, my life has become so very meaningful. So this is why Love and Meaning was the title. Yet still, with all that knowing, with all that awareness, I still complicate things. So I've really been thinking a lot about my childhood and my child self. And she was really brilliant. And there's something so beautiful about the way that kids are naturally inclined towards what feels good. And then we grow up and we are implanted with all of the shoulds and have tos and supposed tos, and we forget about feeling good, or we truly establish a belief, which, yes, is very much instilled in us from various different structures placed in society, that feeling good is not only like a lowest priority, but often bad. And I know that there couldn't be anything further from the truth because I believe that children are the closest things to source. So bad could that could never be what it is. They are connected to what matters, the point in your life experience, which is joy. It's truly in the experiencing of the full human spectrum of being. And kids are really good at being. And then we learn to be really good at doing. And so I have a lot of unlearning to do, and I've already done a lot of unlearning into being and out of just doing. And then incorporating, having the doing that I do be so much more being based. As a projector, this matters a lot because rest is really important for me to be my greatest self, for me to truly tap into my signature, which is success. I need a lot of rest. And that's really freaking simple. Yet still, I find it so difficult so often. I actually had a conversation with my mom the other day, and she read me an article. She read my sibling and I an article about the importance of resting. And my mother is also a splenic projector. Obviously, she didn't know anything about human design growing up. But now, at the age of, 67? I might be aging her. No, I think she's 67. She is asking herself the question of like, why can't I just stop? Why do I force myself to overdo and put myself into this really resentful and, not feeling good state? At the age of 67, it's hitting her like, wow, this is so important. And she's committed to doing it. So we're doing this together. It is so never too late. And at the same time, there's a part of me that feels like, ugh, like I wish that could have happened for her earlier. And I want this to happen for me now and moving forward. And it's so important for us to instill this in the younger generations and for our own kids that life is meant to be something that you experience as joyful, not just something that you produce for, produce something out of. Because the thing is, especially as a projector, our signature, so meaning the alignment theme of a projector is success. So when we think of success, like I never used to think of resting, like I would think of doing and hustling and suffering and sacrificing. This is what I would think of. Challenge, difficulty, striving for success. And I know better that that's not the case. But how beautiful in the human design system that the type that has the alignment theme of success is the type that needs the most rest. How beautiful and what a profound lesson to us all. And so I'm really being called to dive into simplicity. And so as I've been contemplating it, some of the things that came up for me around the theme of simplicity is really connecting to that feeling state that I want to be in at all times as a primary go-to for my life, for my day, setting a context for my day and for my life of joy, of fulfillment, of good feeling. And that can come in so many different ways. Everybody, anyone could determine what that is for themselves. But really starting a practice of setting that context and holding that context in every single thing that I do. I have really big dreams and I have ambitions. Like I'm an ambitious person and there's so many things that I want out of life and I feel very unapologetic about that now, and nothing is gonna hold me back from them, achieving them. But I have found that as of late, when I really established what it is that I want, and in wanting to create something and create something really impactful and unique and me and prosperous, it's so easy to forget to take the fun out of it and to complicate it. And in these contemplations over the past little while, I have noticed that the more I simplify, the easier it is for me to connect with my next aligned action. And so I've definitely touched on this topic before. Like, this isn't the first time, but it's like I get deeper and deeper layers into it. When I did my 2-week rest challenge, and there's a podcast episode about that if you want to go back and listen to it, there's 2 dedicated to the 2-week rest challenge. It really first opened my eyes to the results of that, and they were profound. And I've been really efforting to maintain it. Major things have changed in my life since then, but I do still fall back into kind of like a hustle mode at times and have to bring myself out of it. So it continues. It will be my norm at some point. But I mean, over 30 years of operating in the do paradigm, it doesn't just change overnight. So this is something I'm committed to and devoted to working on. But as I get closer and closer to really touching what it is that I want to create, I'm being called to more and more simplicity. I've been connecting deeply with my intuition, really listening to my inner guidance, really listening to my inner compass. And she keeps whispering to me simplicity, like keeping it simple, letting it be easy. And that doesn't mean don't make effort. It's just, for me, what it looks like is like not overcomplicating the thing that is required to do and the steps that are required to do it and the resources that are required to do it, but really tap into the energy and the feeling that is underneath what I want. And what is your easiest access to that? Just go for that. And it's been really profound. So I'm really wondering, where else in my life am I overcomplicating things? So I found myself this week coming to work with quite a new attitude. I'm an occupational therapist by day, so I still have my day job. And I found myself showing up at work this week with a different energy, a simplified energy, an energy where I'm looking for what is the feeling that I want to feel in doing this beautiful career, and what is the energy that I want to bring to those that I serve. And so I found myself today, I asked it just came out because I'm talking to source energy a lot. I'm talking to God a lot. You can call it prayer. I really just call it conversing, communing with source energy. But I find myself just talking to God. And yes, out loud if I'm by myself. But in my head and officially in my journal, at least once a day. But I'm doing this all throughout the day. And before I went to see the new patients that I have to see, I work in a hospital. Before I went to see the new patients that I had to see today, I think I made such a beautiful prayer that I'm going to continue saying. And it was just in my communing with Source, and I asked Source, how can I have a positive effect on the trajectory of this person's life today? How can I intercept in this person's life trajectory in a positive way? May I intercept in this person's life trajectory in a positive way today and for the entire time that they're with me? And that energy, going to see a patient, going to see a client, because this can carry over into life coaching, into my human design readings. What a beautiful, like, I really felt it inside of me. Like, what a beautiful sentiment and energy to hold. Like, I wish and I hope that that's how other people can feel when they come to work with me, like when I go to see a clinician or a mentor or a therapist. And I know that there are a lot of mentors out there that I've seen have their own little prayer before they work with the client. But I found one today that's mine, and I think it's really, really beautiful. Um, to provide a little bit more context, just in case it's unclear, because I know the word intercept can be connotated negatively, but that is not definitely how I mean it. Obviously, I said intercept in a positive way. But the clientele that I serve at my job are uh, often I'm seeing them at their worst. So I work in severe mental illness. And so the patients that I see are actually in the hospital. They are in a time in their life where things are so not well that they're actually in the hospital and often against their own will. And so it really makes a lot of sense that that would be the word that I could say. So if they're on a certain trajectory now, not that it's my responsibility, not that I'm any big savior, not by any means, but my intention is to influence, inspire, and facilitate in a way that could have a positive impact on their trajectory. These people have an entire life that will happen after they leave the hospital and potentially never see me again. I'm a blip, you know? Sometimes I see them many times, but sometimes it's the one time. So if this is the one time or whether this is one of 10 times, can I be of positive influence on the trajectory of their life and how they experience their life experience? And that doesn't mean a specific strategy. That doesn't indicate what my intervention with them is going to be, but it is the context with which I would like to provide intervention. And that really felt really good. And so having this kind of context around all of my interactions is something that I want to play with. I'm going to start playing with that. What is the context or prayer before I, interact with my husband? What is the context or prayer that I'll say when I wake up in my bed before I interact with the world or I step into my day? What is the context that I want to set if I get on a phone call with a friend or when I have accountability with my accountability partner or before when I work with a client or have a human design reading or when I enter into my mentorship space, like my space with my mentor, with my coach. What context am I setting? That sounds really freaking fun. It sounds really intentional, like one that I think about I feel tingly and like yummy in my body is setting a context when I'm going to interact with my coach that is about innovation, that is about unique expression. How can I, after this session, how will I walk away inspired into more unique expression or innovation in some way? So I don't know who can relate to this, but one of the things that I noticed when I first entered into mentorship, when I first was receiving coaching, right? So my first like coaching experiences, I noticed a lot of kind of wanting to do a good job, be a good student, would love to be teacher's pet kind of energy that I would walk into these spaces with. That was my first energy. That was the natural energy that I walked into those spaces with. Like, whoa. Like, think about everything in my life, the beliefs that were implanted, that is the way that I would naturally set a context for myself by default, walking into a space where it's all about you expanding. It's very interesting. And it was very helpful when I learned that about myself. And then I, immediately became more conscious and started to to work on releasing that. And for the most part, it has been like I feel a very different, I can feel like, and I think they feel it too, very different relationship with my mentors. It feels a lot more like equal power, but different, which is not so much like a hierarchy, though I respect all of their experience and what it is that they're teaching me. It is very much like I am here to learn from this person. I'm here to grow through this person's wisdom, but also looking at them like an equal. Like I'm an adult, they're an adult. I'm setting my own standard for what I'm getting out of this, what I put into it. And the goal that I'm going to achieve is a goal I set, not what do they want from me. I would really be doing myself a disservice if that's what it is, because that's not their job. And so that is one really good way to not get the most from your coaching and mentorship experiences if it's about you achieving what you think they want you to. It's really about you achieving what it is that you want to, and then maximizing on their experience, their wisdom, what they have to offer that could help you to get there. That's how you really maximize and take advantage and milk the most out of a coaching and mentorship relationship. So that was my context, my default context, based off of my conditioning. I can contemplate on that, just like feeling into that and contemplating that, like I was really blown away that these are the kind of thought patterns that come to me naturally, or that did come to me naturally. And they are really complicating things. That really fits into this, like, how can you simplify it? Like, what is the point? What is it that you want to feel? What is it that you want out of this? You, not should, not what are you supposed to do, but how do you really get closer to your deep desire? And it's often simple. I don't think the process of going through any of this is simple, because, like, even that, it really takes a lot of emotional strength and maturity. And that is what inner work is all about, really, really putting in that work to see yourself and to, without, it's not about judgment. It's not about making myself feel bad. Like I don't feel ashamed saying any of that stuff to you, telling anyone, on a recording, that that was the way that I entered into coaching spaces in the beginning. It wasn't conscious. It came from school. It came from having ADHD and constantly being told that I'm doing things wrong. And then growing up, no longer being in those situations, like recognizing some skills that I have. And to a certain degree, in addition to being a projector who values recognition, recognition is super important to a projector, but also not getting a lot of it. At one point, I was very desperate for recognition, and then realizing it's not about I need it and moving in a way to get it, or I won't feel good about myself, but rather moving in a way that is truly in alignment with me. And then when I'm recognized for that, oh boy, I take it. It feels really good, but it's not because I needed it. It really is because I'm being seen for me, really, what I'm here to do, what I'm here to be, what I want to be, and what feels good to me. So I'm really going to be contemplating on this more, the simplification of things. And I know there are other ways that that this can be applied to parts of my life, and I'm going to contemplate that, and I invite you to contemplate that, and feel free to share with me what your contemplations are. But just a very soft kind of contemplation for today's episode. Just how are there ways that we're overcomplicating things? So many layers to this. But that's it. That's it for today. That is what was on my heart, and that is what I wanted to share. And if this is something that you want to discuss in a one-on-one setting, I would love to do that with you, and you are welcome to go ahead and book a 20-minute clarity call, and we can discuss coaching one-on-one. And again, the link is in the show notes. It's also on my socials, my Instagram, my Facebook at Coaching with Cree. And if you're interested in learning what your human design type is, what your profile is, what your alignment theme is, all of those really good things that have been such massive tools for me on my journey, you can also book a human design reading. I do think that being a projector has really compounded this for me, and seeing my mom, it's such a gift to have the relationship that I have with my mom, and she's so into this growth stuff now. Like my sibling and I have really we've introduced inner work to her, and she's running with it. So like, wow, like it's so impressive to see her vigor in self-discovery. This can be at any age. So seeing her as a projector who really operated as a generator her whole life and now step into alignment in a way that she hasn't before. Like it's such a beautiful thing to see people operate in their own alignment, you know? And she is shining more brightly than ever and giving so much through her essence to all of those around her. She's actually so pivotal to even my friends. My friends really respect and admire my mom and look to her as the authority that she is. And the wisdom that she has to share, she's more willing to share than she ever was before. She's a projector. We're here to guide. And there's been so many times that she's held down her guidance, and she's really stepping into that simplicity and now guiding more than ever. And it's really, really beautiful. She's even having an influence on my father. It's really a beautiful thing to see. So that's our theme for this week. And I love you. If you want to come and discuss this with me in depth, and we want to talk about bringing it into embodiment, come and hang out with me on Friday Night Live Dive. We show up every Friday, 6 p.m. EST on my YouTube page at Coaching with Cree. You can also just search for my YouTube page with my name, Christelle Robinson Tiedemann. And it is in the show notes of wherever you're listening to this or watching this. So you can always just click, follow the link, and subscribe, put your notifications on, because we got a lot of cool things to talk about. All right. I love you. Until next time.